Welcome to the second module on laparoscopic knot tying. We'll go over some of the pitfalls and also go over some of the finer points that will help you really do it well, and also discuss some technical consideration. We'll demonstrate how poor initial setup sabotages even your best efforts, and also go over how you can ruin an optimal initial setup by pulling on the tail to tie the first knot down. This is known as shortening, as you know, and this creates a long tail and a shorter post strand. We'll also go over certain tendencies that can result in erratic tension and excessive tension on the sutures, which often are the cause of air knots. So let's review the 5 steps of laparoscopic knot tying again. First is make a C. Second, create the loop. Third, move the graspers together. Fourth is hold but don't pull the tail to cinch the knot. And last is to transfer the post to the other hand with each knot. A poor initial setup is the most common and easily correctable mistake. Here is a typical example where the tail is too long and the post is too short. It's not an extreme example, but as you can see, the lengths are just a little bit off, which makes it a bit more difficult to tie the knots without putting tension on the threads. Another common mistake is pulling on the tail too much when cinching down on the first knot. This move changes the relative length of the suture ends. The tail becomes longer and the posts become shorter. This mistake undermines what was initially an optimal setup. In laparoscopy, even a 1 centimeter difference in length can make a huge impact on the working distance because the optimal working space is much smaller. Not moving together. It is important to move both graspers together to avoid creating unnecessary tension on the threads. Erratic and excessive tension results in air knots. You can think of laparoscopic knot tying as a form of atraumatic knot tying where there should be no tension on the threads when you are forming the loops in between the knots. A very helpful technical tip is to rotate the sutures to make the loop formation easier. As you can see in this example, a simple 90-degree or 180-degree turn can make this task much easier. Direction of the rotation depends on your specific situation. It's now time for you to think a little bit about what we've been doing. Did you notice all of these knots are square knots laid down flat, except the first knot is a surgeon's knot? As you know, with square knots you typically have to cross your hands on alternating knots. But in laparoscopic knot tying, as you saw with the technique we've described, your hands are not crossed when you're tying these knots. What's actually happening can be illustrated in these two still pictures. As you can see, by transferring the post, we're actually starting with the threads crossed each time. The threads are crossed after the formation of the loops, but they are nonetheless crossed. And that's the reason why with this technique, also known as the Sabo technique, you do not ever have to cross your hands when you're tying knots, even though they are square knots. And here is another question that I would like you to try to answer for yourself as you practice. Does it matter whether you form the loops above the thread or below the thread? All our demonstrations have shown you how to form the thread with the grasper on top of the post suture. But is this necessary and always the case? The last question I'd like for you to answer for yourself is whether you can tie square knots laparoscopically without transferring the post each time. Thank you for watching.